moving forward to getting to the part where my dad goes to prison. After several years of running away back and forth and all this crap, and the abuse still continuing every time he brought me back, and him treating me like a little adult, here, drink this vodka, and, all this going on, and, by the time I got to be about 14, I had still never told anyone, even on all these runs, all the times I'd been questioned, why are you running away? All the youth homes I'd been put in at 12 and 13, stepping stones and youth facilities, and all the questions I've been asked, I'd still never broken and told anybody. Okay, I was still protecting, I was still scared. They knew something bad was happening to me. Kids don't just leave home like that. They just don't, okay? And so the first time I got the nerve to tell, I was really scared. I had run away from home. I was about 14. And I ran into a group of people that weren't like the people I had been used to being around. Normally, I would run away, and the adults, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, some of them were quite a bit older than me at 12, 13, 14. Typically, those people, if they were male, they would take advantage of me. Yes, they would sleep with me, have sex with me, whatever, give me a place to stay a few days, give me weed to smoke. I never did any hard drugs, thank God. I never got drugged, and I never did any hard drugs during all those years of running away, just pot. But that's what would happen typically. So, on this particular run, I expected in my child mind these people to treat me that way. But there were girls around, older girls and older guys. And they actually happened to know my very oldest brother. And these were really great people. And for the first time in all those years, somebody made me feel safe. They broke real with me instead of taking advantage of me, trying to have sex with me like all the older people that I had known before and ran to before and gotten caught up with. These people cared. I'll never forget them. They got real with me and they said, look here, little girl, we know something's happening to you and we want to know what it is. You don't have to be scared. We promise you we'll be by your side. We will help you. We will be right there, whatever authorities we need to contact. If there's anything we can do, tell us what's going on. And they were the first people that I told. This crowd of, and these were just 20-somethings, really looking back, these were just a bunch of kids trying to live their life and have a good time. And some little runaway girl had somehow crossed their path, and I was only 14. But these were great people. I'll never forget them. And I still remember all their names, and, they've all gone their separate ways, but they kept their word. They made me feel safe, and I told them. And they called the proper authorities, and we got the ball rolling. I was terrified to go to court against my father. So somehow we ended up in court. They ended up taking me out of the home, not him. And I ended up in foster care, and this went on for a little while. But at that age, it was kind of too late for me. I was a really screwed up kid at that point. I was really wild, and no matter who tried to help me, I would run from all of them. The minute they would get me help or get me foster care, I would bounce out. I wanted to run the streets, be wild, be free, go be with friends. I was used to being abused. There was no stopping me. I was just whatever. But that was the first time. Okay. It was to be because I'm in state custody. I was supposed to be in foster care. Then my parents would have to turn me back in. It would just get crazy. I'd go back to an institution or here, there, and everywhere. And somehow I ended up back around my father. Okay. It was really crazy. It was like just so twisted up. I would run away from one place and end up in another place. And then my brother came to get me and he tried to help me. And once your mind is screwed up like that, that's too normal for you. So then I ran from my brother because I had a boyfriend who had gone to Florida, and that's where I wanted to get to. That's all the hell I cared about. It was too late at this point to make me into a normal little schoolgirl who's going to follow the rules and going to have routine. It was too fucking late at that point. There was no stopping me. I just wanted to go, 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 and run, run, run from everything. So somehow I ran from my brother, and then I found out my father was out hunting me down, even though I was in state custody or something, and I was supposed to testify against him or something like that again, and somehow he caught up with my ass. And I'm trying to remember the timeline on this. I remember what it was. He catches up with me and comes up with this manipulative plan. He knew just how to manipulate me. He's like, you know what? I know you're trying to get to Florida. I'll get you a bus ticket. Just give me a couple weeks. But in his mind, yes, he did this to his own daughter. But in his mind, he's thinking, if I get her the fuck out of here, she can't be here to testify. So that's why he did it. And he put me up for a couple weeks with family. In fact, he hid me at his mother's house. My paternal grandmother. Yep. And she was one of the people that was on his side. In fact, she told me, don't you ever say things like that about your dad ever again. Gaslighting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've always had pretty much a hard time. I was born into a situation where there's a lot of fuckery going on, and people wanting to fuck with my head about it and all of that good shit. But again, my dad had this weird love, pain, twisted, manipulative, I love you, honey. He would often build up my ego. Maybe that's why I have a decent self-esteem. I do struggle with insecurity a lot sometimes. I struggle with self-worth, self-respect, setting boundaries with people who might be bad people for me. I've struggled with that a lot in my life, but I've always had a pretty decent level of self-esteem and being able to kind of pick myself up and go on. And that could be because of my mixtures in early childhood of my dad. He would not attack me as a person. He would ridicule things I loved. He would hate on things I loved. He would take them away from me. He would tell me, like, my writing was stupid, your music is stupid, the things you love are stupid, blah, blah, blah. Wear this, put your hair up. I wasn't allowed to have a personality. But he didn't ever tell me, you're stupid, you're ugly. No, I was more like the golden child, me and the other brother. No, he always would say things like, you're dad's girl, you're special. It was like I was just another extension of him. Like, typical of a narcissist. I was just an extension of him. Oh, look at you looking like me. You look just like me. Or, you're special. Oh, you're going to do great. He would look at me and say, you got that killer instinct. And he would say it about himself too. He would say, just like me. I'm going to do a video one day about the killer instinct. It was weird how he would say that to me. But to him, that meant you're a badass. You're clever. You pick up on shit. You're good at things. You're talented, whatever. That was his way of saying that to me. So I was raised kind of like that, where some kids don't get that. They don't even get that much self-esteem boosting. So he mixed all these different layers of abuse, trauma, beatings, violent attacks, ridicule, hurting the things I loved, bashing the things I loved, hurting my feelings, sexual violation, physical violation, all these crazy things. But at the same time, nurturing like a mother sometimes, my protector, dad's girl, manipulative, here's your favorite things, oh, you're special, all of these things, okay? And so I had to grow up navigating all of that. And I'm sure it affected my personality in some ways. Some kids don't get even that much self-esteem. They are told all the time they're awful, they're ugly, they're stupid, you're not shit, nothing you do is shit. I know people that's happened to, and they never got any help, never got any mentoring, and to this day, they cannot love themselves, care about themselves. They're very self-destructive. They have no self-esteem whatsoever, but they also turn around and hurt other people too. That's your narcissists. A lot of your narcissists were treated that way. Now, my mother, on the other hand, she did attack me as a human. She called all of us names, very emotionally abusive. You little bastards. You're not worth a shit. Wish you were dead. wish you weren't born. She talked like that. So, okay, he sends me to Florida to be with the boyfriend and the family down there that I want to be with. And in his mind, this gets him out of me coming to court, testifying. Hopefully they'll dismiss the case. I'll just look crazy, just a misfit kid who's lying, right? And at that point, I didn't give a shit anymore. I just wanted to get away. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be with my boyfriend. I wanted to smoke pot. I wanted to and I went down to Florida for 3 weeks and ran wild, got my first tattoo, lived on the beach, hung out with my boyfriend, and then got fucking arrested. Stealing. We were very poor down there, struggling to eat, and ended up getting caught stealing. I got slammed in juvenile detention down there for 9 days, and I felt like it was the end of the world. I will never forget that feeling of loss. I knew I was a minor. I was never going to get out of this. They were going to ship my ass all the way back home to Arkansas. I was never going to see my boyfriend. It was over for me. I was going either to a foster home or whatever the hell. So they extradite me back to Arkansas. They got me in handcuffs and shackles and people meeting me at each airport, putting me on the next plane. They bring me back to Arkansas and they take me straight to a foster home that day that I land, because I'm supposed to be in court in a couple of days to, I guess, go back on what I said. Somehow my father got with me and manipulated me and made it to where I would go to court and tell them I lied on him. And I would also implicate my older brother and his wife, because they were trying to help me. They were trying to get my father put away. They knew what he was doing. But at that young age, I was easy to manipulate by my father. I was under his control mentally, emotionally, all these things. And I remember being placed in that foster home and that day, bouncing out, running again, somehow ending up back with my family. And we all went to court. And I remember that my father got into my head and I told him all these bogus stories about my older brother. My older brother's a liar and he does all these things, and it was just so crazy. It was so manipulative on my father's part, so much mind control and so much crap. And my mother wasn't helping any of it. She let it all go on. But at that point, they dismissed it. They dismissed everything and sent us all back home. But I was told later on that they never believed for 1 second that I had not been being abused and sexually molested for years. I had people tell me that from a very early age, 6, 7 years old, they could tell by my body language. They could tell by the way I carried myself at 6 and 7 years old that I was being molested and sexually attacked and assaulted and whatever. Now, I will say this before I move on. Okay, this is the point we're up to, and then I am going to have to probably finish this in a part 2 so it doesn't get too long. Or actually, this is part 2. I get these videos mixed up sometimes. Part 1 I'm going to be uploading, and it'll cut off. And then part 2, wrap it up in this one, and I may have to finish it up in a part 3. But anyway, I want to say this before I move on. We are up to the point where the first court hearing, the first time I told on my father, and I had help from that great group of people, young 20-somethings that really cared about me, that knew my older brother. And I will say, when all that was going on, they kept their word. They came to see me in foster care. They checked up on me. They came to my court hearings. I really appreciate that group of people. Anyway, fast forward. I've already reneged. I've taken the story back. My father's manipulated me, gone back home. Now, we're going to work on getting towards part 2. When I told the second time and the final time, and his arrest and imprisonment. We're going to make it there, okay? But I do want to say, before we get there, every abuse story is different, and every story is horrific. If you have been sexually assaulted, physically abused, any type of abuse in your past, especially by someone you trusted, and especially by your own damn parent, okay? any type of sexual abuse, whether it's an aunt, uncle, family member, an older friend, all of it's bad, all of it's traumatic. But there are even more dynamics that you have to deal with when it's incest. When it happens with a blood relative, a parent, there's a lot more mental shit you have to deal with. There's a lot more shame. Like, it's taken me this many years to even, yes, I told people, and yes, people knew. And when I was younger, I wasn't nearly as ashamed. I was just so numb. Yeah, that happened to me. So what? I don't care. But as I got older, I became less and less willing to talk about it, only in private therapy or whatever. And I did have to have a lot of therapy. Thank God I did. And I have had to really work hard on myself. Because I've got a lot of different types of issues, but by God, I work on them, and I'm aware of them. But I want to say, every case is different, okay? Some kids are threatened. Some kids are told that they're going to be killed, that their mother will be killed. Some kids are, my father was, it's just such a predator. It's like he played on my emotions. He gave love and nurturing and favors and manipulation and guilt trips. It's all about dad and making sure dad is happy, and you develop Stockholm in a situation like that. You're gonna want to keep your abuser happy. You have to stay alive. You're terrified, you don't go against that. It's absolutely terrifying. I was scared to death of that man growing up. But I also loved him. It was all I had. It's all I knew. So every person's story is different, okay? Every case is different. Some kids may not have that mix of love and hate or love and disgust. That also affects your damn relationships as you get older, too. And you don't know why. You have to have therapy. It's very important. And I know not everyone gets the blessing of that. But there's got to be a way you can reach out somehow. I mean, especially with internet now, I'm so thankful for YouTube and so many resources and counselors taking time to post videos about things like that, But not, everybody's case is going to be different. Mine was really twisted that way, though. Some kids may grow up with just one feeling about it. This person was horrible. I fucking hate them to this day. I have no fucking feelings left for them whatsoever. They're dead to me. That's fine. Whatever you feel like, whatever is supportive of you and you're comfortable with. But mine is a very complex, I loved my father up until he passed in 2012. But it was also a feeling of disgust, and it's hard to explain. I'm that way with both my parents. I can only take them in really short doses, but it's kind of a love trigger thing. I have to be very careful with them. So, but moving forward. Hey guys, so okay. Getting up closer to the time where he actually went to prison. All this back and forth is going on. And somehow, after it's all said and done, after I told the first time with that great group of people that were very supportive of me, then took it back, got back under my father's control and manipulation, I ended up back at home with them. And I'm there, I don't know, maybe a little under a year, and I'm running as much as possible. They're catching me and bringing me back, and a lot of back and forth going on, and I have turned 15. And one night in particular, the abuse is still going on, and I'm getting a lot older, and I'm still in that mindset of, I'm terrified of my father, I'm terrified to go against him, but not knowing what to do, like, sick of it. I've gotten myself into such a web. He's tried to destroy my credibility. But since I was a child, they knew and they believed me, because we had people following our case since the very late 70s, early 80s, since we were all little bitty children with bruises on us going to school. scan, protective services, cops. Our home was filled with that growing up. People making reports, whether it was the school or my grandmother. My family was always being investigated. So there was a long history there, okay? And so once I told the social workers, the people that had been involved with my family all those years, they knew. They knew. So they didn't believe for 1 second when I took it back, but they didn't have any choice right at that time but to let it go, dismissed. I'm back home. Okay, I've turned 15. The abuse is still happening. My father being as controlling as